Static certificates are fine until you have many services. API keys are easy to copy, IP addresses change, service names can be claimed, and stale certificates eventually become an outage risk. The hard problem is not encryption. The hard problem is, how does a brand new workload get a trustworthy identity without already having a secret? Manual mTLS is the concrete starting point. Service A has a client certificate. Service B has a server certificate. Both trust the same CA. The TLS handshake gives encryption and mutual identity. With Go and M2 mAuth, this is straightforward for a few services. But the certificate files still have to be generated, distributed, rotated, and protected. SPIFFE is the standard for workload identity. It defines the SPIFFE ID, the SVID, and the Workload API. A SPIFFE ID is the workload name, such as spiffy://prod.acme.com/ns/payments/sa/order-service. An SVID is the cryptographic proof of that identity. The Workload API is how the workload retrieves its identity. There are two common SVID forms. X.509 SVIDs are used for mTLS, with the SPIFFE ID in the certificate URISAN. JWT SVIDs are bearer tokens, with the SPIFFE ID in the subject. For Go service-to-service mTLS, X.509 SVIDs are the main path. In SPIFFE, you authorize the SPIFFE ID inside the SVID. SPIRE is a production implementation of SPIFFE. The SPIRE server signs SVIDs, stores registration entries, and manages the trust bundle. The SPIRE agent runs on every node, exposes the local workload API, and attests workloads. Workloads do not call the server directly. They call a local socket. Node attestation asks whether this node is allowed to run a SPIRE agent. Workload attestation asks which workload is calling the local socket. In Kubernetes, the agent can inspect process and platform data such as namespace, service account, and pod labels. SPIRE does not trust the pod because it says it is order service. It trusts the pod because the platform proves it matches registered selectors. Order service starts and receives an X.509 SVID. Payment service starts and receives its own X.509 SVID. Order opens a TLS connection to payment. Both services exchange SVIDs and validate them against the trust bundle. Payment then checks the caller's SPIFFE ID. Authentication answers who are you. Authorization answers are you allowed to call this endpoint. The demo uses Kubernetes because workload identity is easiest to see with pods and service accounts. Create a payments namespace, create order service and payment service accounts, install SPIRE Server and Agent, register workload entries, mount the SPIRE Agent socket into pods, and use go-SPIFFE from the Go services. Show an allowed order service call, then show a denied inventory service call. Static certificates expire and create operational risk. SPIRE issues short-lived identities and rotates them before expiry. The Workload API streams updates, and Go clients can use source objects that refresh identity automatically. You do not restart services every time identity rotates. A trust domain is the root of identity. Workloads inside one trust domain share a trust bundle. Federation lets trust domains exchange bundles. This allows cross-cluster or cross-organization service calls without shared API keys. Use M2 mAuth when you have a few services. Want direct Go mTLS, and static certificates are acceptable. Use SPIFFE and SPIRE when you have many services. Need automatic identity? Need certificate rotation? Run Kubernetes or multi-cluster systems? And want zero trust workload identity. Common mistakes include treating mTLS as enough without checking the SPIFFE ID, using broad identities, trusting namespace alone, forgetting authorization policy, not monitoring SVID rotation failures, choosing poor trust domain names and mixing human identity with workload identity. SPIFFE ID is the workload name. SVID is the cryptographic proof. The Workload API is the local identity endpoint. The SPIRE agent verifies workloads locally. The SPIRE server signs identities centrally. The trust bundle lets workloads verify each other. SPIFFE/SPIRE is automatic, short-lived, platform-attested identity for workloads.